G'day folks, and welcome to Gormo's Shed. This week we're looking at how you can fiddle around with these backgrounds here and make them up to suit yourself. So I mean, I've gone through this before, the software side of it, of creating backgrounds, but you don't necessarily have to stay with what you've got there. You can add things over the top, and I'll show you what I mean. Now this area here was downloaded from the internet. It was an image that I've manipulated slightly, and obviously I've cut the sky off. I've done that all the way around on my layout here, and then when I put that on the wall first, and then when I got to this stage here, I actually had another image that I downloaded off the internet, which is, if you look closely, that's a castle, etc. in the background there. Now that was added over the top of the green scenery on the left here, and then these houses were added over that again, these two cottages here. That's from a photograph I took. Now, and this cottage here, of course, this one is another one of my photographs, but no, actually that's a downloaded, sorry. But anyway, these cottages here were all added over the top of that background there. Now the thing with doing this, these cottages here are actually slightly smaller than the Metcalf kit here, and I've scaled them down. I've done that on printer, and anyone can do that. When you're printing out images, you'll see an option there to print it at 100%, or you can change the percentage to say 70% or 80% or whatever, and it's very much dependent on the actual size of the original image in the first place. So you've probably got to print it out at 100%, have a look at it in relation to the building that it's next to, the real building, and see if it looks right or wrong. It may need to be scaled down, especially if you're trying to give the impression of distance. Now you'll notice with this castle in the background here, it looks like it's way off in the distance, and that's because it's printed smaller than what it actually was in the original download. And this steeple over here is purely just a steeple, and you may be able to see I've just got a bit of tree stuck over that again. So you can build these backgrounds up in layers, and I might show you an example of how you can change the whole look of your railway just by adding a building over the top. And actually I've got another example I'll show you in just a moment. Right folks, here's another example here, and this is a classic example I suppose. What we have here is a number of layers. This back scene here actually is a new back scene that's been laid over the old one that I had there. I wasn't happy with the original one, was sitting down too low, so I've added this one over that. And then I've made an area here for this Metcalf kit low relief terraces here, and I thought I need something in here to sort of start building up the town scene, if you like. I'm gradually working towards more buildings on the right. So what I've done then is I downloaded this image off the net, and that's printed out at 100%, so it's actually a bit smaller than this building here. If you put this up against that building is smaller than that one. However, it suits the position it's in there because it looks as though it's further off in the distance. And I toyed with this one for quite some time, to actually get it in the right position. And the right position, as far as I was concerned, was to have this wall up at about the road level of the bridge. So anyway, I've cut it out, cut the sky off and all that sort of thing, and I've got the chimney tops protruding just above the back scene, and it has a sort of almost 3D effect to it. I'll just zoom in a bit. Now, once I put this image on, it had its own sort of colour of grass below it that suited that particular area it came from, and it didn't really sort of match up with the grass I wanted here. So I went back to this. I had another couple of sheets of this background left, and I cut out some of the foliage, some of the low foliage that was on that, just simply cut out around it, and I stuck one layer on there, and then I got another layer, this area here, and stuck that over that again. So there's multiple layers here. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 if you count the old background. But I finally got to what I want. Took a while, but I got there. Now this scene here, folks, in between the trees, I mean, for example, if I got sick of that, I've got another cutout here, which is a bit crude, this one, but it's just cut out of one of the scenes on the new back scene, and I'll just show you how simple it is to transform this area here. I've put these pieces curl up when you print them out. I guess it's because you've got ink on one side and nothing on the other. And put it about there, that'll do. Just hit the blue tack. I think there's a bit there as well. Now that's not great, it's not glued on properly, but you can see it's just completely changed that area there, and that's just a bit lain over. Actually, that doesn't look too bad to me. You can further enhance that by adding a bit more if you want to. Now I've also got a little cottage here. This came out of a Wordsworth Model Railway back scene. I've just cut out the cottage part, and you can add that over the top again into this area. You don't need to be able to do all sorts of fancy editing with photographs. You just need to be able to print them out and cut stuff out. So again, there's a bit of blue tack there somewhere. I don't know how straight that is. I think the blue tack's fallen off actually. Well, that'll oops. No, there is some there actually. Put that on there like that. As I say, it doesn't look fantastic, but it's not stuck down properly. So we'll just zoom in on that, and you can see it's actually, I know it's sticking up here, but you know, you can put something in front of that again. You can stick another bush over it if you like. But you can see the possibilities here, folks. We've just transformed this back scene in a couple of minutes, no problem at all. Now, if I take them off, you can see where we were. Just take that blue tack off. Back to that. Simple. Well, folks, I wouldn't say it's easy. You need to have an eye for it, but what you need to sort of focus on is perspective. Buildings that you're sticking onto your back scene won't necessarily be exactly the same size as kits that you build in the foreground. So if you have them slightly smaller, it gives the impression that they're further away, and obviously anything that's way off in the distance, you've got to scale it down again. And as I said, you can do this stuff on your printer. You don't have to get into fancy software to do all this sort of stuff. But some of it is trial and error. I don't know how many times I stuck images on the wall with blue tack. I looked at it and looked at it again and looked at it again and thought, I don't know. Well, you know, eventually you get there. And the other thing too, folks, is when you print these things out, It's the same as if you were doing a kit. If you're printing out papers, give them a good spray with a matte sealer varnish and to seal the surface, and let that all dry off, and then cut it out and then stick it on. Once you've found the right image, that is, of course. Anyway, I don't know whether I've told you much there, but it might give you a few ideas anyway. Let me know if you get any better ideas than what I've got. I could certainly use some more ideas. Okay, I'll leave you with it. See you next week. Cheers, Gormo.